All right. Hey guys, I'm back again. Si Adaure, Chinamama for others, and this is my baby sister. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chibuzo Manu. I'm the youngest.
I already said you're the baby.
Sorry.
Anyways, this is why I do videos on myself.
All right. Anyway.
Okay, so we're gonna be talking about Breakthrough. So we went to go see this movie in theaters. I think it was like a few weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And it was like, I saw the preview for it, and they were playing Oceans by Hillsong, and I was just like, all right, this movie's it's gonna be lit because they were playing, they're playing Oceans. And Oceans is like the staple in like any believer's life for some reason.
True.
As of recent years,
it's kind of overplayed, but
yeah,
I still love it.
It's a vibe. So we'll just I heard that, and I was just like, okay, we're gonna go and like we're gonna watch this movie. So we went to see it, and I thought it was gonna be like one of those like cheesy Christian movies or whatever, but it was actually pretty good. Like, it really resonated with both of us. We didn't cry, for those who are asking, but it was a moving movie. So we're just gonna talk about some themes that we actually gleaned from the movie, and yeah, I didn't want to do it by myself because obviously we might have differing perspectives, or we might have seen something that the other one did not pick up. So I just wanted to, involve her in it since she watched it with me, and then go from there.
So the first point is praying and constant faith. So the mom's name was Joyce, and pretty much throughout the movie, like, she demonstrated faith throughout everything, even when everybody was like, yo, John's gonna die, like, John's not gonna make it, but she still had faith regardless. And I thought that was amazing because, like, a lot of times when, like, how people act around us, it impacts us a lot. So by her showing like all that faith, it was like really good.
Oh, John is her son, by the way.
Yeah.
We didn't even say what the movie was about, and we're like diving into themes.
Oh yeah, true.
Don't be like, oh, what? Son, what?
All right, so you trying to do like the summary?
Oh, bruh. All right, if I forget something, just
I could jump in.
All right, yeah. So basically, what happened was that there was these parents, Joyce and Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. These parents have this boy adopted from some like Latino country.
I think it was Guatemala.
Guatemala,
I think.
Yeah. So he was adopted, and he grew up with them, and he's like he was not really a believer like that, but he was just like he's just there, like typical middle schooler.
Yeah.
Played ball.
And he was really good at ball.
Yeah, he was like the star player, like point guard. So he went with his two friends. They were out on the lake. They were like doing a sleepover. They went out on the lake. It was frozen. It was winter. And there was actually a neighbor that came out and was like, guys, don't play on this lake because it's frozen and it's, it's delicate. You guys could like fall through and stuff. So, and I'm just like, come on, bro.
They didn't listen. They didn't listen, bro.
She was like, our viewers are not all Igbo, so they're not going to understand. But... yeah, so they went on the lake, and as we know, or we knew when we were watching the movie, John, the adopted boy son, fell through, and they were actually all three of them fell through.
Yeah, all
right?
three of them fell through.
Yeah, and the two got out, but John was under for it was 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So the rescuers were coming, and then, oh my gosh, it was like that scene had me like, yo, is he gonna make it?
Yeah. So
the rescuers came and they like pulled him out and everything. So basically, the bulk of this movie takes place with John, the son,
John,
in the hospital because he's like in a coma, basically. Because I mean, you're under frozen water for 15 minutes.
Oh, we didn't talk about how they saved him.
Oh, yeah.
Chai, how did we miss that part, bro?
Man. Okay, because it's just a lot.
Yeah, the movie was a lot. You need to go watch it.
I know. We can't. You need to go see it.
Yeah.
You didn't go see it. But the rescuer, he was actually, they were all going to leave the lake because they couldn't find him. Like, he was under for a long time, and they couldn't like trace him to pull him out.
Mm-hmm.
But then the rescuer, the black guy, Tommy Shine, he was like, "Oh, I heard something like go back, that said to go back, like a voice," and he went back. And as soon as he dropped it was like a little wire or something.
Yeah, it was like a pole because he was going back and forth in the water just to see if he can like feel like something, just like part of his body or something, just to pull him back.
Right. So he like dropped the wire, and he hooked the boy. So they rescued him. So imagine if he didn't hear that. Anyway, we'll get to that. But imagine if he didn't hear that voice. John would have still been under, and that would have been it. Because I mean, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, he was under there for a while.
He was like a minute. So obviously, like your brain's not getting energy, water, oxygen. Now, wow, science. Hell. But anyway, he was not getting oxygen. Gosh. So he was transported to the hospital. The other two boys made it. They're fine. So John is in this recovery room. Doctors are saying he's not going to make it. The mom is just like persevering faith. She has persevering faith throughout the whole like movie.
Yeah.
Because she's like, my son's going to live. And at a point, the first set of doctors, when he first arrived in the ED, emergency department, the first set of doctors were like, he's not showing any signs of life. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to tell the mom when she arrives. And she was like, my son's going to live. And she was like, Holy Spirit, like, please give life to my son right now. That part was kind of cheesy, I'm not going to lie. But, I mean, at the moment, it was, like, really, I was just like, yo, is this it? Like, did we pay, how much, $14 for a 5-minute movie? Like, what's going on here? But no, like, so he showed the first signs of life, and then, but he still wasn't awake. So, like, he was, you know, I guess breathing.
Yeah, he had a pulse. Yeah, he had a pulse.
Yeah, he had a pulse, and then, like, okay, so we're going to put him in, like, the actual floor of the hospital, like, not the ED. So that's where he went. That's where he was trying to recover, trying to fight for his life. And, yeah, so back to that point about, that's just a synopsis. And I guess, like, we'll go through the points and then, like, explain the movie, because we don't want to give away the whole thing.
Yeah, it
like,
was...
I mean, if you didn't watch it by now, like, you're bugging. Like,
yeah,
no
it's been out there for, like, months.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
But still, yeah. So first point again?
Yeah.
So praying and constant faith-filled mother. Mm-hmm. So Joyce.
Yeah, so, yeah, Joyce was basically, like, she was the MVP for this movie, because, I mean, she really, like, pulled through for her son, and she was there, like, I'm not giving up on my son, while everybody else may, I'm not, so.
Mm-hmm. And then the verse, like, faith without works is dead. That was a really important verse that, like, tied in her whole... Joyce embodied that verse. Mm-hmm. Because, again, like you were saying, like, she was the one praying for him. I mean, people were praying for him, but, like, she was the main one, like, praying and really having faith that God would save her son from the coma and, like, wake him up. And, well, I won't reveal what happened, but, yeah. But the second point, assertive when it comes to faith. The mom and doctors.
True.
So the point was, the verse was, the kingdom of God suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. So you want to talk about that?
All right, yeah, I'll talk about that. So there were a set of doctors. I don't know if they were like newbies or something like that, but there were a set of doctors that Joyce went to the bathroom. Joyce is the mom. She went to the bathroom in the son's room. And the doctors came through, and they were like, oh, yeah. They were talking about him as if he was, like, an object. Like
a piece of meat.
Yeah, like, oh, this specimen's, like, not going to live. Like, just degraded him to, like, an object. And I'm just like, this is a whole human being. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to go into that. They're like, oh, yeah, like, what are we going to do with him, like, after his expiration, death for my non-medical folks. And I was just like...
I was not with it. I was like, that's really rude.
That made me feel some type of way.
I don't like that.
So the mom came out and she was like, she didn't even go like disrespectful. She was literally just like, oh, if you guys don't have anything positive to say, you need to dip, like, exit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically she was like, I only want positivity around my son. Prayers. If you're not gonna be like, we don't need your energy. Bad energy, stay far away. Said Prophet WizKid.
Yeah, but another point what that ties into is that your words have weight, and
Yes.
just like that Joyce, the mom, that she wanted people to speak positive around her son, because like
Yeah.
if you're speaking negative about something, it's most likely gonna like end up negative. But if you keep on bringing light to the situation and speaking life to your situation, then it would again produce positive results.
Exactly.
So that was important. And then just like whose report will you believe? A lot of times, like even the verse that's like walk by faith, not by sight. It's just it really spoke in this movie because literally like her son was in a coma. At a point, he didn't really have any type of pulse. Like it just looked like he wasn't going to make it. But Joyce, she still went and still prayed and still believed that God would save her son.
Yep.
Please. Hey guys, we're back. My phone died, so we had to switch to my sister's phone. So, technical difficulties, that happens. Sorry, Rose, sorry. Yeah. So. Alright, so prayer of a community. So the prayers of the righteous availeth much. Just the power of intercessory prayers. So the school was praying for John, the church was praying for John, the community was praying for John. So just the importance of that, and just having a support system is very important. I feel like it encourages the person or people that are going through something just to to keep pushing and to keep fighting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. I think you said the most on that.
And then a very interesting scene in the movie is when Miss Abbott, that was Josh's teacher.
Oh, yeah.
So, John's. That was John's teacher. I think, was it science or?
I think it was math.
No, I think it was math.
Math.
Yeah, so apparently, I think her husband died. So she asked a very important question. She said, John, like, why you and not my husband? So, like, why did God save you but couldn't save her husband?
Yeah. That's man. That question is very hard to answer, especially for people that are still new as believers. I don't really want to, maybe I'll do another video on that, but like, this is like not the video for it. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. But that was his answer, actually. He was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, he really could not answer that question. And I don't know. It's a hard one to answer.
It's really hard.
Oh, yeah. It's like...
The next point was, man will always fail you, but God will never fail you. So...
Say it again.
People turn their back on you. And in the movie, Mr. Smith...
Who's that?
John's dad.
Oh,
yeah, John's dad.
He made me so, bruh.
Like, he
so
kind of like questioned the wife. Like, he was like, well, like, John's gonna die anyway, so why do you still have faith? Like, he was kind of coming like that, and I was just like, you of all people, like, you're her whole husband. Like, you should be standing by her. This is your son that you care about. Like, if she's having faith, I feel like that should have motivated him to be like, wow, like, my wife, she has faith. Like, she's not, doubting or anything. Like, I should probably have faith too. Because, like, she's strong. Like, she's a strong example. So I was kind of, like, taken aback. Like, wow, your whole husband.
I was like, bro, you need to step.
Yeah, and he was kind of coming reckless throughout the movie. But
yeah, he was like, oh, you should treat them with, like, when we were, like, before, the wife was being assertive with her faith.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
the husband was like, oh, you should be nicer with these staff because you never know. I was like...
Oh, Joyce, you're just being such an animal to these staff. Like, what do you mean?
Sometimes you gotta, like, if people are trying to doubt your faith or, like, test your Christian gangsta, like, sometimes you have to be like...
Listen.
Like, I know what God I serve. Like, simple. I'm not gonna compromise for that. And that's what Joyce was displaying. And he was just like, oh, you need to be nice to the... Nice for what?
Right. Nice for what?
Drake.
But honestly, shout out to the medical field people throughout the movie. Like I want to be in the
Man.
medical field one day, and
Oh, true.
they really motivated me. Like they
Yeah.
didn't give up on John.
They did not.
They tried to shock him back. They were doing compressions. They were like, they really tried. Like they did not give up, and I appreciate that because a lot of times when there's like no type of pulse or anything on somebody, like the medical staff would just be like, "Whoa, they don't have a pulse, so he's dead." So
they'll call it. Like, yeah.
So I just appreciate that. Like they didn't give up. There's like this one guy. I don't think he had a name in the movie though. But this one guy who's like 1, 2, 3. Like he was like
he did not
going,
give up.
Like,
yeah, he was going in.
Since when John entered that place to when John left, like he was doing the compressions. Like he was awesome. So yeah, shout out to them. And it's your testimony can impact others. That was a very important theme too.
That's so important.
You want to take that one or I can take
no?
it?
Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't want to like review.
It's okay if they didn't watch it. Look.
Okay. Yeah.
Spoiler
alert. Spoiler. John lives, and he comes back to church, and like he goes on stage with his parents and the pastor, and like he's just like
the pastor invited him up.
Yeah, the pastor invited him up.
Yeah.
And like he finally gets a chance to speak about his experience, and he's just like thanking God, thanking the whole congregation. So your testimony can really impact others. Like don't be afraid to share your testimony because even like the little things, the things you think they're little things can literally impact somebody who's listening to you. So don't be afraid to ever share your testimony.
Yeah, for sure. And like that's, I mean, it says in the Bible that we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. Like our testimony holds so much weight because we're literally, you're testifying to the goodness of God, like what God did for you, what in the natural sense could not have happened ever. And for John, I mean, he was like submerged in water.
Right.
Frozen
water.
For 15 plus minutes.
Like that, all your body systems are shutting down.
Yeah.
Like,
and they legit were when he was in the hospital. And then all of a sudden, like, you regain everything. You regain all normal occurrences in the body. I mean, that's a testimony. Like, there's nothing else to say about that. But, yeah, definitely, like, don't be afraid to share your testimony, especially with your friends, with people that are still new in the faith, because that could encourage them. It's so important.
So the next point is an argument we hear all the time in school, science versus God. That was, honestly, I know I'm saying, oh, this theme was really important, but no, this theme throughout the whole movie.
Más importante.
The whole movie. Like, the doctors, remember that scene when it was the pastor and the mom, and it was like, oh, squeeze my right hand for Jordan, and then squeeze my left for LeBron or something like that.
They were holding on to the son's hand.
Yeah,
and he was
John's
still
hands.
unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like, I think John like squeezed. John squeezed her right hand.
Yeah.
And then like the mom Joyce started freaking out like, oh my goodness, like my son's alive.
Because
like,
he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to. Like the doctors were like, oh, like we don't think he's gonna make it. He's gonna be like brain dead and some rubbish.
That voice.
But and then. So then the pastor asked, because the pastor too was kind of like, Joyce, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm just gonna sit down and like just be with you.
Blind faith.
So then he asked a different question, like a basketball question. I can't remember it.
Because he was a baller.
Yeah, he was a baller. So then John squeezed his hand, and then he's just like. So then they call the doctors in, and then they ask another question, but then the doctors like. No. Then John, he doesn't like react, like he doesn't squeeze the hand.
I wanted him to squeeze.
I was just like,
so like, come on, bro.
Right, and then the doctor was like, oh, it's a phantom movement, like it's just a neural impulse, like it happens all the time. Just like trying to downgrade God, it's like you can't downgrade God. I just felt like going through the screen, just like slapping the doctor.
No, like that part just had me like, come. And it was the same doctor that she said if you had nothing positive to say.
Yeah, he was being negative all movie. Like I'm
just like, man, that's why you have no name,
right?
Irrelevant.
And it's just like, what we think is impossible. Yeah. So science is possible with God. So there's just certain things like in this world that you just science can't cover it. Like it's just honestly it's God. It's God.
Yep.
Honestly.
Yeah, man.
But another theme was, how can God speak to you, and how do you know God is speaking to you?
Oh yeah. So in the movie, there were a lot of different scenes where people were like, I heard something like, or they're like, oh, I had a feeling that. So a couple examples, the rescuer, like we said earlier.
Tommy Shine.
Yeah, Tommy Shine. Right. Why? How do you remember his name? Oh. Tommy Shine, the rescuer. He's like, yeah, I heard a voice that told me to go back. That's how he rescued John.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joyce, the mom, she was on the rooftop of the hospital. And it was like mad pretty too. I was just like, how did
Yeah, it was
you
like
get on top
I
of
think it
there?
was like snowing or something.
Snowing.
It was a nice scene.
And she was like, God, like I'm trying to let go and like just I'm not trying to control the situation because she recognized that she had that, would I say character flaw or what? Honestly, I was like, sis, with everything that you're going through, like it's okay for you to have like one or two character flaws, like whatever. But huh?
Oh, I said like we're human. Like
yeah,
it's
exactly.
normal.
I'm just like, look, you're doing the best in this movie. Everybody else is kind of forsaking your son, so it's okay. But anyway, she was on the rooftop and she was like, oh, like I let go of everything, God, like take control of the situation. And then it started snowing. So it's just like different stuff like that where it's like, you know, when you don't feel like God is talking to you, but he actually is talking to you. Excuse me. Through like different avenues, different feelings, you know, the gut feeling. That's usually God trying to tell you something, but you're just like, oh, it's my stomach. It's just like, actually, that's God speaking to you. Yeah, and like you know, I had a feeling that, or I heard a voice distinctly say, etc. So God speaks to us in different avenues. It's not the same per person. So in this movie, they did a beautiful job of displaying how God speaks to people in different ways.
And just, I thought you were gonna talk about that scene. The scene where it's like,
yeah, I feel like I forgot.
Yeah, no, it's after the rooftop scene. She comes back, and then the doctor's like, the Allstate guy. He's like, because he was the
Allstate.
He was the drowning doctor, right? Wasn't he like the he was like the best doctor that dealt with like drowning cases or something like that. Yeah. Yep. So then he was like, oh, all these meds that he's on, like, it's just like damaging him. So like you need to like make a decision. He was talking to Joyce, and Joyce, like with authority, she's like, you know what? Take him off all the meds. Like none of it. You know, he's gonna live. He'll be okay.
And the doctor was like,
yeah, he was like, are you sure about that? Like,
are you
gave her that look like, I don't know, but it's your call. So then they listen, obviously.
High key.
And like John's body just kept like spazzing everywhere.
Yeah, she was like, oh, let him fight. Like that's what he does best. And I was just like, are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna reveal that part. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was weird.
But
look here.
What else? Oh, forgiveness.
That was a huge. Can I talk about this?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
all right, cool. So in the beginning, we actually forgot to delve into this part, but the pastor, he was like a young like pastor, and the mom, she was more traditional. So what happened was that like I think he said something like during their Bible study, and she was not having it. Like from there, she was just like, oh, this is just one of those like young pastors, like, and then they could just do whatever. Like she wasn't really feeling him. So he ended up being the pastor that was like there for John and the family throughout the whole time. Like from the beginning that he was there, like basically to the end. So the mom, Joyce, was able to forgive or like let down that barrier that she had against the pastor and like really let him into, help intercede, to help be there for John, and things like that. So I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, the part in the beginning that was kind of funny. I think it was
like what part?
Yeah, the beginning when they were in church. I think they were doing yeah, it was like Lecrae. It's like acting like weird. Like
Lecrae is a rapper.
Yeah, a Christian rapper.
I don't actually like that term.
A Christian rapper?
A rapper that's a Christian.
Sorry, a rapper that's a Christian.
Yeah. Because, like, you try, like, to box... I'm a musician, so that whole thing of, like, putting someone in a box is just, like, no. He's a rapper that's a Christian. So, like, that... Because of that music, like... My friend. That music, like, flows through them. So, anyway, they were trying to merge Christian contempt. Phil Wickham was there.
Yeah,
It was Phil Wickham. Phil Wickham is the Christian contempt artist.
I can't remember the name now of the song.
He does Christian contemporary music.
But it was like a song they were doing. He was doing like,
"This is amazing grace."
Yeah, amazing grace. Like he was just like adding
like the rap ad-libs.
like weird.
Like like just like hey.
And like Joyce was not having it. She was just like,
she's like, what kind of music? Like,
and she was just like sitting down like, this is not it.
It's not it.
But where were we going with this? Oh, forgiveness.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, that scene was what? Okay.
Yeah, forgiveness.
Yeah, so from the jump, we're just trying to just say, like, from the jump, she wasn't feeling him. So, but then as the movie progressed, it was like, she was like really like, okay, this pastor, despite how he does his stuff, is really here for this family. And, like, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And that's all that matters. Like, it shouldn't matter the different walks that we come from as believers or, like, otherwise. But, like, let's look at the person's heart. Like, the pastor was, like, a man of God, as he should, despite, like, how he relates to God. Like, that shouldn't really matter.
All right. So then the last point was acknowledgement of faults.
Yeah.
So we noticed that Joyce, she kind of had pride throughout the whole movie, but then it kind of, like, as the movie progressed, she finally realized that she had pride. And that rooftop scene that you were talking about, like, she forgave the pastor, and she, like, just let go and let God. She just said, Lord, just have your way. I surrender everything to you. So I feel like that scene was actually, like, very, like, passionate. Yeah. And shout out to directors, like, y'all did that.
I don't know. I don't know anything to say, but anyway. That's basically it. Like, it's good to know that as believers, we don't all have it together. That's not why we're called believers. We believe in Jesus. Like, that's the point. We're still going to be human beings. We're not perfect. So, yeah. It's just good to, like, evaluate yourself and, like, what faults you have, own up to it. Like, it's okay. And then work towards correcting or improving yourself as a whole. So, yeah.
I gotta agree.
Next point.
That was it.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, yeah, so the movie was really powerful. Like I said earlier, they did Oceans, and the whole school was singing it. This black girl student was going off. Like, she was hitting the runs and everything. I was just like, go ahead, sis. Let them know how it's done.
She did that.
Yeah, she really did that. But yeah, like, the movie was beautiful. So if you haven't seen it, sorry, kind of spoiled it for you. But, I mean, at this point, you kind of should have seen it. If you wanted to see it, you would have seen it. But yeah, we just wanted to elaborate on the themes that arose from the movie. And kind of related to, like, I guess, today. Like, why that movie was pivotal.
Relevant.
Yeah, relevant. I knew that's why you're doing this video.
It wasn't cheesy.
It was good. Yeah.
It
wasn't like, oh, Jesus, like, saved me. And I was like, no. Because
like, it actually had, like, real life.
Yeah.
It's, like, testing your, like, what do you do when your faith is tested? That's really, like, I feel like what the main theme of the movie was.
Yeah. That's the overall. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Overarching theme.
Yeah. I just really like personally when John the son came out and he was like thanking his parents, because before, like, his character progression was very nice, because in the beginning he's kind of just like, oh yeah, mom and dad, like, whatever, like, they're just there, especially since he was adopted, as we said earlier. But as the time progressed in the movie, he really improved as a character. Like, he was more grateful, because when he woke up, his mom was the first person that he saw.
Yeah, that was a powerful scene.
Yeah, that was a beautiful scene. because that was the person that was praying for him to come through the whole time. She never wavered. So, yeah, that was like he thanked the parents at the end when he was telling his testimony to the church. I thought that was very pivotal scene. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. My sister, Chibuzo, Chinamema, aka Adaure, and I will see you guys next time.
Adios. Shalom.
Oh, that's not a prayer call. All right, bye.